Good morning, good morning, good morning. Nice day today. We're enjoying this beautiful morning, aren't we, Luna? She says, yeah, I found my ball. As long as I got my ball, I'm okay. The ball is very important. Uh, I offer a sip of a beverage. Hope you have one. We can enjoy a beverage today. Luna can bump her head against the poor puppy dog. Little thing. Good morning. I thought I'd talk a little bit about today. Last time I mentioned going to Ireland and how I had empathy for being Irish. Um, Sometimes you get empathy. It feels good to be on a team. I kind of mentioned that before, but I wanted to talk about my thought process when it comes to um, living somewhere outside the United States. Now, I'm not talking about vacations. I'm talking about living at least, 5 to 6 months out of the year at different places. My my daughter went down to Panama. Uh, she was an exchange student there. Well, it wasn't an exchange student. It was she went there to spend 6 months in education. There wasn't like a swap, but she just went down there. There's a university down there that's run by the University of Florida, so she could get credits and transfer that back to her school. When she was in Panama, I was actually working in a company that had business in Panama. So I went there, saw her, and we spent some time there. It was very enjoyable. So as I get older, I think about, should I live in the United States or should I live uh, somewhere where the cost of living is a little smaller? And Panama always crosses my mind. My wife before we got married, she moved to a lot of different European countries. She's very familiar with the European areas. The problem, well, I shouldn't say the problem. Um, so a lot of this isn't, so a little bit of this is systems. I get so much retirement, and it's this in the United States, and it's that in Panama. Or I get this much retirement, it's this in the United States, and a little less if I'll go to someplace like a European country, like Ireland. A little more expensive, but there's a little bit of this is my this is my team, this is my place, and ran across it recently with a journalist who I was following. Is he's His name is Sagar, and he's really, I enjoy him. He's a happy guy, smiles a lot, has interesting takes on a lot of things, and I appreciate his insights. So, in response to somebody asking why Americans don't move to Europe if they have the money, He said, "Don't want to. Why would I want to?" And he showed a lot of his reasons why he really enjoys the U.S. And one of the things that happens right now in the U.S. is we have uh, electric vehicles being produced by Tesla. And Tesla has a factory in California. That's where they started. Then they put up a factory in China. And then they put a factory up in Germany. And now they have a factory in Austin. And watching them grow, I thought about where would it be next? Where would the next factory be? And the truth is there's not a lot of countries out there that make a lot of sense. The countries that are out there don't have a lot of money. Well, I shouldn't say don't have a lot of money because it's not about money. Tesla has the money. They need someplace that's got a very stable government that has good ports, good exports, and a friendly work environment. And there's not a lot of places like that in the world. Even Germany, where he started his third plant, we were amazed when we watched, because Europe said electric vehicles are really important, and they said that it's something crucial to what we want to get done. But yet, it was really hard for him to get his factory built. She's lost the ball, so I need to take a break for just a second and see if I can give her her ball back. It went under here. It went that way. You dropped it and it went over this way. Oh, there it is. There. I thought I couldn't get it, but I can. All right. So it's the same dilemma when you're talking about retirement. You get older, you don't want to move somewhere unless it has health care and reasonable, or at least reasonable or lower prices because you're retired. And then the other thing is, I don't want a small building to live in. So most of Europe, for the money I have, I would have to live in a fairly small building. You get used to space. And the US healthcare system, for all of its problems, it's not horrible. You know, we got laughed at by a lot of people when the pandemic hit and how slow we were about getting testing and some other things through. And it was bad. I'm not denying that. But we did get the vaccines out pretty quickly. Had no problem getting mine when they were available. Except for Israel, I think the only other country that I would say got it out faster than Israel is you know the United States. I don't think anybody else did better. You can fact check me on that. It's not like I'm looking at data, but point is, it was really close. And my wife has seen 3 doctors, 4 doctors so far this year, and she's seen them at least twice, and a couple of them she's seen like 3 or 4 times. So she's seen a lot of doctors so far this year. No problem, no issues. She's got an ongoing weakness in her left leg that she's having diagnosed. So it's okay. So I'm ranging a little bit here. Let's get back to empathy versus systems. Was born here in the United States. I have lived here in the United States, never lived anywhere else. I have been outside the United States and visited like Panama and Canada, Ireland. However, I really don't have any desire to live outside the United States. The only time I've even looked into it was to stretch my retirement, be a little more comfortable. And I'm not sure even that makes sense anymore. For a long time, before the pandemic, Panama looked like a really optimal place to go and retire. Cost of living was much less than the United States. Uh, my wife speaks Spanish fluently, and Panama has many English speaking uh, people that live there. Decent healthcare. It's private. There's a public option that's not as good, but there's the healthcare there that's private is pretty good. Uh, so weather, climate, nice, pretty there. Um, Security is high because it's got the canal, and the U.S. will not allow a foreign power or somebody like Colombia to come and take the canal. They just won't allow it. You know, it's just that's not going to happen. So it's had the stability, cost, adequate health care, and the English speaking is nice because even though I could pick up a lot of Spanish, sometimes you really need to speak in your native tongue to really get some complicated things done. And my wife could handle that as well because she's really good. So there was a part of me that wanted to live down there a little bit. Thought we'd build a house. And if anything happened to us, we'd give the house to my daughter. She loved Panama. So I don't want to move. I love the United States. You know, we bitch and complain, and our system wants you to be afraid. But by golly, I'm hard pressed to think a place that I want to live more. If you're, and I'm not dissing on other countries. You know, um, there's a lot to being in an area where you've grown up. In Ukraine, I watched the videos from Skynet News where they went to a town that was being bombarded and attacked by the Russians. And in there were people that they wanted to get evacuated. They said, we don't want you hurt, and we don't know what the Russians will do to you when they move in. And they didn't want to leave. They said, we were here in World War II. We want to stay here now. They just didn't want to leave their home, no matter what the safety consequences were. You get strong empathy for where you're at. There are some people that get pushed in a direction, pushed to another area, and they cut those ties with their local environment. But it's hard. When my parents came to this country, I should say when my relatives, my parents were born here in the United States. But when my relatives moved to the United States, they were moving, moving, moving. My mother's side of the family came to Canada and then moved down from Canada to Massachusetts. And she moved from Massachusetts to Florida, from Florida to Memphis. She moved from she moved from Massachusetts to Florida because of World War II. She was a nurse in World War II, and she went and became a registered nurse, and she was working at the VA there in Florida. And then they moved her to Memphis because that's where they had a big hospital there as well. So she uh, she had a lot of I won't say emotional ties to Florida, but she it was one of those things that she could have stayed there. She might probably would have. My dad, ooh, geez, he moved all over the place. He was a rambling bush, you know. He was a he was born in Missouri, and then World War II happened, and when he had joined up with the military, went over to Europe for fought there, and then stayed there for a little while before he was discharged. Then he moved to Pacific where he did construction work. Then he moved to uh, Seattle, Washington, down to California. Then he got ties in with his brothers in Texas to sell vacuums and encyclopedias. Kirby Vacuum used to be a big seller. He would sell them and encyclopedias door to door. And he was over in Florida, met with my mom when he was selling there. Was impressed with how much money she had acquired, not because she was doing great affluent wise, just she was really smart about how she would spend her cash. So 5 years of courtship, they got married, lived there in Florida, and they she got transferred to Memphis, Tennessee. She got trained, and that's where I was born. And they were there up until the time I graduated from college. And we moved. They moved to Sun City, Arizona. When they got to Sun City, Arizona, they had every intention of staying there for 6 months, and then traveling. They want to get an RV, go see lots of sights. When they got there, they they liked the environment. They liked what they saw. They liked the system so much that that got them going to. Um, I'm sorry, got them to stay there. So they stayed in Sun City until the day that I went and got them because their health was failing. Sun City, Arizona. The system they liked was they had golf carts that you could use to go around in, and they had ac physical activities to keep you healthy. And all those things combined made them really appreciate what they could have there in their lives. So sometimes you move for a job, sometimes you move for an adventure, sometimes you move somewhere because the system helps you for what you are. So if I moved to Europe, I would have to find some place that's as big as the house that I have in the US for the same money. I'm not sure where you'd find that. There could be some places. I don't know. And it'd also have to have good health care. I think that's not a big problem in most European countries. And it would be probably more expensive because Europe's not known for cost-effective, cheap things. It's known for a lot of good specialization. I mean, a lot of stuff that you get there is crafted and has really good uniqueness and very enjoyable. That'd be hard. So I think I'm stuck here in the US because I want to be here. I'm stuck here in Texas because I want to be here. And even though I disagree with some of my fellow Texans and some of the people here in the US, I I'm willing to do my part to say you're wrong and I disagree, but I'm also willing to say, but I'm also going to live here with knowing that I'm not going to get everything my way because the system overall is okay with me. Wow, this is a rambling, weird video, wasn't it? My intent was to talk more about the importance of having a home versus having a house and the empathy that comes with a home versus the system that you develop for your house. You choose a house a lot of times because of the way it's situated, what size it is, it's at. There's a system that you want. But then you eventually develop a home because it becomes a place that you want to be because that's where you've been. It's a place where your puppy dog comes and you've been throwing balls with them for a while. I have some old puppy dogs that are buried here too. I love them all so much. I've had some really good puppy dogs. And Luna's a really good one too. She thinks she's really small. She thinks she's a little bitty puppy dog. She doesn't know she's big. She'll see a kitty cat as we walk down the path, and she'll pull me to the other side of the street so she can avoid the kitty cat because she's afraid the kitty cat will hurt her. Yeah, she's a good puppy. But she thinks she's a little bitty girl. Yes, you do. You think you're a little puppy, don't you? She loves her ball. She's really good at catching it. All right. Sorry for the rambling video. Hope you guys have a wonderful day.